Hey, what's going on, brothers?
Hey, what's happening? Peace, 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 peace. That was a video by our guest tonight, the one and only wise, intelligent of the legendary poor righteous teachers. Rock that funky joint. And welcome to another edition of the Sonic Ngoma. Abibifahoodie, Abibitumi, Hotep, Alafia, Shalom, Assalamu Alaikum. Race first. All black laws for all black people. Good evening, brothers and sisters and first-time listeners, as well as first-time viewers on YouTube. Welcome to another edition of the Sonic Ngoma on Do the Knowledge Radio. We are happy and blessed to be with you once again. We are your hosts, Oba Oláyínká, Khamuo Heru, and Brother Farugh Maat. We are a unified body of concerned people, visual artists, musicians, business owners, researchers, truth seekers, teachers, and healers. Our goal is to create dialogue surrounding music, culture, politics, as it relates to African people's sovereignty, autonomy, and economic empowerment. Here represented as the Urban Shamans Productions, the African Independence Day Organizing Committee, and Be My Incorporated. Before we jump into tonight's topic with our guest, we want to let you know that part of the Sonic Ngoma radio broadcast is brought to you by Urban Shamans Productions, the African Independence Day Organizing Committee, Be My Incorporated, Heru Custodial Maintenance and Home Renewal Services, the Temple of Black Messiah, and of course, Do the Knowledge Radio. Peace. Peace, 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 peace. Abibifahoodie, Abibitumi, Black Power. Welcome to another edition of the Sonic Ngoma. Of course, myself, Brother Oba Oláyínká, Brother Khamuo Heru, and of course, Brother Farugh Maat. We are pleased to be with you tonight as we bring to you a very special guest, someone who I've known, for quite a while, but is very familiar to each and every one of us. He is truly one of the pillars of hip hop, as far as being an MC and wordsmith, as well as a entrepreneur and an author of a book that we're going to talk about. It's my pleasure to bring to you the one, the only, the legendary, wise, intelligent of poor, righteous teachers. Peace to the God. Welcome to the Sonic Ngoma.
Peace to the God. Peace to the God.
Peace and black power, bro.
To the Knowledge Radio.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
We're glad to have you. There's so much I want to talk to you about. One of the emphasis that we wanted to talk about tonight was Black entrepreneurship and everything that you're doing with Boss Up, everything that you're doing with Rap Snacks. It's so important that we talk about Black entrepreneurship, Black business, which you've been a proponent of for so long. Matter of fact, one of your albums is entitled Black Business, back in the Poor Righteous Teachers days. So we want to talk about that. But first, of course, we definitely want to talk about some of the music, you as a wordsmith and an artist, and talk about your new book, The Manufacturing of a Dumbed Down Rapper, which will be out very, very soon. So, brother, I guess I could get started in saying that you have been such an impact on so many brothers and sisters as far as what you've done over the years, from your days with Poor Righteous Teachers to now your tremendous solo career. Hip hop has become the institution that it has become because of brothers such as yourself. And I would be remiss to say that you are definitely one of the top MCs and wordsmiths in the game. But from your beginnings, coming up in Trenton, New Jersey, I would like to ask basically, what did you see and envision all of this happening for you when you first came in the game? Or was this something that, you know, really you felt as though you could obtain all the things that you've attained through hip hop, but at the same time, it was something that, you know, it would take a lot of work to make happen?
But actually, there was absolutely zero foresight. Absolutely zero foresight. We were just in a moment. You know, I was in a moment. You know, I was a juvie. You know, in a moment. You know, we were in a hip hop moment. We loved hip hop. You know, I wasn't just rhyming. You know, graffiti art. You know, I mean, I was tagging walls. You know, the whole nine. You know, and at the same time, we were in the streets. We had a lot of street time, so you know, we were breaking and entering. We were in the youth house. We were all over the place. Man, we didn't have no foresight. You know, we just knew we loved hip hop. We knew we loved hip hop, and fortunately, fortunately, the first time I opened my mouth as an MC, I had knowledge of self. So that was fortunate for me. You know, and that you know, and that kind of kept me. You know, that kind of kept me. Without knowledge of self, I really wouldn't have ended up here. You know, it would have been a completely different trajectory. You know.
So when you speak of knowledge itself, how did you receive that knowledge? You know, was it you know, information and guidance in the household? Was it you know, embellished with you know, running in the streets and you know, having old heads dropped in school? How did you embrace the knowledge? You know, how did it come to you?
Well, my physical brother, Power Israel, he's a year older than me, but he was way ahead. He was way ahead of me when in terms of street time, street knowledge. You know, he had knowledge of self, and his entire social group had knowledge of self. You know, all the guys he was with, you know, they all had knowledge of self. Whereas me, I wasn't into it. You know what I mean? I wasn't into it. I absolutely made fun of them as a youth. You know, it's your first time hearing, you know, young black males say Asiatic black men, you know, using terms you never heard before. You know, you like, yo, what is these dudes with this comic book mentality? You know what I mean? So, you know, so my physical had knowledge of self, and he got incarcerated. When he got incarcerated, left lessons. You know, curiosity. You know, I started flipping through the pages a little bit. You know, and it was interesting. It was intriguing. So, you know, I started exploring further. You know, started. You know, first and foremost, I got a dictionary. You know, his lessons made me get a dictionary, you know, because I didn't understand the terms. So I stole a dictionary from the school, from school library. You know, I stole a dictionary and started, you know, looking up some of the terms, you know, Asiatic, you know, knowledge, wisdom, understand, you know, basic, you know, math. You know, I started, you know, defining those terms, and so I'll have a better understanding of what they mean. So when he got out, you know, he he tore a piece of paper out of a notebook. He wrote the name on notebook paper and gave it to me. He said, that's your name right there. From now on, it's Wise Intelligent on the paper. You know, he's like, boom, that's your name. You Wise Intelligent from now on. You know, and the reputation, the cred his crew had, you know, they all started calling me that. They wouldn't call me anything else. So it stuck. It stuck. You know, so I went with it. You know what I mean? You know, what I started responding to it. That was the first thing. You know what I mean? When you respond to something, you know, you become it. You know, it ain't what they call you, it's what you respond to, right? So I responded, and here we are. You know.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for joining us. I've been a fan of yours for quite a while. Seeing you perform throughout the years. Coming here in Philadelphia. I got an interesting story about one of the videographers of the Rock This Funky Joint video. It was actually one of my teachers, and he spoke about me, which is, you know, he was really proud to brag, you know, the fact that he participated in that video. But yeah, you know, it's an honor, definitely, to have you here with us, you know, and for me personally, to get a chance to meet you.
I'm honored to be here. I mean, I appreciate y'all, you know, bringing me on the platform. You know, in a lot of platforms, you know, where you can do the knowledge, where that's doing the knowledge. There's not a lot of platforms out here doing the knowledge. Period. You know, if they're doing the knowledge, they ain't doing the knowledge to write knowledge. You know what I mean? So it's a totally different reality. So any opportunity I get to, you know, to be present on real platforms, you know, I'm there. And man, I hope I go back. You know what I mean? We go back.
I mean, you were very close and a dear friend to our dear brother, Brother Ahmed, in the Pearl of Africa. You know, you like family, man. You know, you performed at our second African Independence Day Mass celebration. It's hard to believe that you actually performed 15 years ago at African Independence Day. And, you know, we've continued that tradition, the three of us. We've continued that tradition in the name of Brother Ahmed, you know, who passed away in 2012. For a minute, talk about your relationship with Brother Ahmed. Talk about your relationship with the Pearl of Africa, because that's where I met you officially, in the Pearl of Africa. And at the time, you know, I had just came into knowledge itself. I had just, you know, come into the cipher of the gods and the earths. And I, you know, was, you know, knowledge in 120. And I was just excited, man. And to meet you in the Pearl of Africa, I was like, wow, you know what I mean? This is the God right here, you know. But, you know, talk about your relationship real quick with Brother Ahmed, with the Pearl of Africa, with the family.
You know, relationships like my relationship with Ahmed and a lot of brothers that I click with, you know, that I really connect with. It's deeper than it was always deeper than what we were doing. It was always deeper than the personas we might have had, or that society or our social group had created around us. You know, our environment. It was always deeper than that. It was always, you know, at the energy level, at a real deep energy level where real people connect. You know, and that's what it was with Ahmed. The energy was just pure. The energy was real. It was always real. It was pure, genuine. You know, and immediately, you know, when I first met Ahmed, it was just a familiar energy. You know, it's very familiar energy. Like I've known him for thousands of years. You know, and we just connect like that. And that's the level that we were connecting on. It wasn't even about, you know, he had a business, you know, but it was deeper than supporting his business or supporting a black business. It was deeper than that. It was deeper than, you know, what I was doing as a rapper, MC, and whatever that was. You know, it was so much deeper than that. It was like we had all been here before, you know, in totally different social stations, but we've always known each other. It felt like, you know, so that's how our relationship was. That's how it felt.
Yeah, you got a extensive you know, presence and career in terms of music and activism. You know, I was looking at your, you know, sometimes you claim to know people, but you know, until you really sit down or you really you know, dig into, you know, the work that they put in, you really gotta you know, a sound respect for it. So, you know, I just wanna give an overview of who you are, you know, for the people who may not know. White Intelligence is an international artist, activist, songwriter, producer, social entrepreneur, along with a legendary hip hop trio known to the world as the four righteous teachers, pioneers of conscious hip hop, pioneers of conscious rap music. Okay, White Intelligence has released a total of 12 studio albums, has collaborated with world-renowned artists such as Lauren Hill, White Club, from the Fugees, Moses, KRS One, Ice Cube, Too Short, X Clan, Reed, and Miss Jones. While Intelligence has leveraged recognition as a conscious hip-hop pioneer into activism, youth advocacy, and program development. He has established a Intelligent Minds, which is a inner-city tutoring initiative focused on youth academic performance and achievement. Also, Intelligent Teams, a non-for-profit youth media organization teaching middle school and high school children documentary, film production, and investigative journalism. Today, Wise Intelligence is the president of Brat Snack Foundation and director of the foundation's Boss Up Entrepreneurship, Financial Literacy, Community Economic Development Initiative, using entrepreneurship as a creative way to solve problems negatively impacting our community. Wow. And I definitely, just, man, awesome. Let me go. I don't want to take up. I want everyone, share, questions around. So, I just wanted to officially, let people know who you are, those who may not have known.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole new generation of young brothers and sisters coming up that didn't come up with Wise. So we got people who watch and listen to this show. I mean, they're watching on YouTube, they're listening to this show. And so, of course, there's a lot of brothers and sisters in our age group that know you, but younger brothers and sisters are being introduced to you and introduced to your musics. And I mean, going back and, playing some of, PRT's old stuff and then getting into some of your solo stuff. But I one of the reasons why I thought that it was good to bring you on the show was to talk about your entrepreneurship, because you have gone from being a hip hop icon to now business sector. Now you're doing things with young brothers and sisters who are coming up, who are, they don't even have to be artists per se, but why is it important to develop Black entrepreneurship from your perspective, Wise?
Because the community, as I see it, historically, our communities have been deemed under-resourced communities, as they call our communities, in the political jargon. It's that we are underserved and under-resourced communities. My position has always been that our communities have never been under-resourced. Our communities have always been over-extracted. We have the resources. It's like the African proverb, everything the village needs is already in the village. Mm-hmm. That's always been my belief. We already have the resources, from buying power. We have money. We have 1.2 trillion in collective buying power, right? That's annual buying power. We have cultural resources, hip hop, fashion, art, music, R&B, all the music we make. Every genre of American music is Black music. We created every genre. That's a cultural resource, right? So we have resources. We have monetary resources. We have cultural resources. We have academic resources that are extracted out of the community at the point of graduation. As soon as our youth graduate, because we don't have infrastructure to sustain their lives, to offer them gainful employment in businesses that we own, then they get siphoned off into the corporations of foreigners. And by default, their skill sets are used to perpetuate global white dominance, and cultural hegemony. So we need to become entrepreneurs. We need, and I say that in the sense of controlling more of the internal markets in our own community. That's really what it's about for me, so that we could put a plug in the hole where all the resources is leaking out of. For example, we go in the corner. We corner kids. We grew up on the corners. We hung out. You go to the corner store. You go to the bodega. You got 250, 500 products in that store. Everything from hygiene products to beverages, snacks, and we don't produce any of it. We don't produce any of the products on the shelf. I mean, you can do a social study. Take some youth up in there and ask them, who make these things, who make these products that we're consuming every day. We're consuming these products every single day of our lives, but we don't produce any of it. And nowadays, the corner store itself, we don't own that anymore. Now it's foreigners owning the corner store in our communities, right? For example, Rap Snacks. We distribute to like 5,000 mom and pop stores. 5,000 mom and pop stores. In conjunction with the Walmarts, 4,200 Walmarts, 7-Elevens, Circle K's, National, Kroger's. We distribute to but 5,000 mom and pops. In Mississippi, in the state of Mississippi alone, we're distributing to 1,000 mom and pops, 1,000 mom and pops in the state of Mississippi in that area. And of the 1,000, only 3 of them are black owned.
Dang.
That's what that's what we're dealing with. So we have to control more of that economy, because it's causing the resources to be extracted. At the time we purchase any product, any item in that corner store, anything we purchase, the money from on the back end from the producers of the product. We don't see none of that. The money from the distribution of the product, we don't see any of that money. The money from the retail of the product, we don't see any of that money. We don't see anything. All the money leaves the community at the point of purchase. It doesn't allow the dollars, the buying power to circulate in our communities long enough to empower our communities, our charities, our youth organizations and things of that nature that need that funding, our schools. A lot of these foreign entities come in the community and get tax exempt for 5-10 years. They don't even have to pay taxes. And we all know that the property taxes and things like that go to the schools. So then we wonder why the schools are dilapidated, why the schools don't have adequate books and teachers and things of that nature. So all of this is because we kind of fell off at the economic level. We're not paying attention to the economics. That's one of the things that Dr. Amos Wilson was trying to explain to us when he said that if we don't pay more attention to the economics, we're going to get wiped out. We're going to get wiped out, and that's just what it is. And this is why. Think about how all of this is connected. We got a lot going on with the social justice movements right now. And the spark seemed to have been George Floyd. And we look at what happened with George Floyd. It was an accusation that he went to the corner store. He went in the corner store, and they said he gave him a fake 20, right? They said it was a count. He tried to pass off a fake 20, which we now know that is false as well. That information was faulty. But let's go with it for a second. Let's entertain it. $20 counterfeit bill to an Arab. The Arabs own the store. Cup Foods is an Arab-owned store, right? The Arabs own the store. They've been in that community for 30 years. The same Arabs have been in that community for 30 years. You're in this community for 30 years. Black person comes into the store, give you $20 bill. You assume it's fake. You call the cops over $20. How much have you been extracting out of that community for 30 years? How much of the dollars, how much spending power, how much resources have you been extracting out of the community for 30 years? What have you been giving back to the community in that time? So here's the thing. The Arab comes, he sets up a trading post in the community, right? He's doing trade. He's been there for 30 years. Black man come in, $20. He called the European. Call the European. The European comes and put the black man in shackles and kill him, right? Sound familiar? It's like history repeating itself. But continent of Africa, same thing. The same thing. The Arab came, set up shop, told you to the European changed you, and that was it. So to prevent that, we need to take more control of the internal markets in our communities. We have foreigners selling us soul food these days. Let alone let's not even have a conversation about health. Let's not even have that conversation. We're talking about the fact that we have foreigners, we have Koreans selling soul food, I mean, fried chicken, sweet potato pie, candy yams, potato salad, macaroni and cheese, to the creators of it, to those who do it best, and that's problematic. That's problematic. I mean, where's the black guy selling shrimp fried rice to Chinese people? It's one of those things, and that's why entrepreneurship is very important, because it's how we can gain more control of the life-sustaining institutions in the community. And because if you don't control the institutions, you don't have power. You don't have any power because power is exercised at the institutional level. You have people can be prejudiced all day long, but if they don't control institutions that affect your life, they can't affect your life. But when they control the life-sustaining institutions that you rely on to prosper, or live in relative peace, then you're in trouble. And then it becomes what Kwame Ture said when he said, if a white man wants to lynch me, that's his problem. But if a white man has the power to lynch me, that's my problem.
That's it.
Right? And that's what happens when they control the institutions. When they control all the institutions in our communities, then they have the power to lynch you. So entrepreneurship, for me, social entrepreneurship in particular, because entrepreneurship, capitalism, they go hand in hand. But for me, it's social entrepreneurship. For me, it's using entrepreneurship as a creative way to solve problems in the community. So it's important that we set up these businesses, that we take the youth in these stores and not just do the social study and say how many of these products are produced by us, which the answer is going to be none. But then it's which one of these products would you like to produce, and then build that brand, build that company, build that product. Let's start our own sanitary napkins, our own toilet tissue companies. Let's go in here, look at all the products. Which one you want to replace? Let's replace it. And then build that product, build that brand, market it from the vantage point of the culture, and move it throughout our communities. And that's what we've been doing. Basically, we've been setting up a vast distribution network, to move products that we create through this network. It's so much deeper than rap snacks. People see rap snacks and they like, these dudes is pushing chips. They pushing chips. Rap snacks not chips. Rap snacks is about creating lanes for products, distribution lanes, manufacturing lanes. It's so much bigger than a bag of chips on a shelf. And that's where we need to be. So for me, entrepreneurship is important in that respect. I mean, like right now, we got a national election coming up November. And everybody's like, vote, do political thing, get out and vote, do your civic duty. Cool, okay. But the other part of that is politics. I mean, is money, is economics, because politics follow economics. You know what I mean? If you don't control the economics in your community, you're not going to control the politics. It's not going to happen. It's something I like to say, a quote that I have, that I say all the time. Politicians are like prostitutes with a point of view. You don't vote for them, you buy them.
Thanks.
You know what I mean? You don't vote for politicians, you buy politicians. And that's where we kind of have politics confused, because we don't see how politics go wherever economics go. Economics move politics, it controls politics. So the economic piece is very important. We have no lobby. We have no lobby because we have nothing to offer. You have nothing to offer. You know what I mean? You wonder why your politicians retire from Congress and end up working for a pharmaceutical company. Why they retire from Congress and end up working for a prison building company or a prison management company. Is because these companies have capital and they're controlling the politics of things through the economics. So that's been our thing. So what we've been doing beyond, we've been leveraging the commercial success of rap snacks to to move the communal aspect, the community economic development, the financial literacy programming, and the entrepreneurship development. So we developed these entrepreneurship programs, and they're all the programs are profit sharing models. What I mean by that is we're not just taking the youth and giving them some knowledge and some information. It's just not a knowledge acquisition program. It's not that you're just going to acquire some knowledge. The programs are all designed for you to acquire the knowledge and skill sets, organize the knowledge, and apply it. And that's what's important. That's what's important because anybody can have knowledge. You say knowledge is power. Now, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. Knowledge is potential power. Because organizing that knowledge and applying it is when that knowledge is powerful. That's when it becomes powerful. So it's more than just knowing things. So the programs that we set up, like for example, the program called Innovation Cafe. The Innovation Cafe, we're building cafes on HBCU campuses. The cafe is complete with all the products that you would see in a cafe. Think Starbucks or what's the other one? The one with the parachute, Zaxby's, something like that. But those types of cafes, it's a cafe. However, the products sold in the cafe are produced by the students in the program. They develop the products that are sold, the coffee, the flavor profiles for the coffee. They source these things. We teach them how to source the products, how to find the manufacturers, how to do all of that. How to get the product, from the design, everything, the market analysis, all of that. And whatever products stick on the college campus, we have the potential to scale it beyond the campus. In a profit sharing model with the university and the students. So that's one of the programs that we have. We have a program. Of course, we have a music program called the Culture Studios. Where we're teaching youth not only how to engineer, write, create music, we're teaching them how to monetize the music. So it's about the monetization. The program is really rooted in the monetization of intellectual property. So basically, how to create a product, create music, own the music, and exploit the music for your own benefit, and keep all the rights to your music catalog. So that's called the Culture Studios. Right now, the program is running out of Charlotte, North Carolina, in Chester, Pennsylvania, and at Lincoln University. As soon as we get past this cover space, we've been having to move a lot of things virtual, as far as the music program going. But that's what we're doing with that. So our network in the music industry is vast. James is from Philadelphia. James Lindsay, he founded Rap Snacks. He's from Philadelphia. He's from North Philly. I've known him since the 90s. So we've been rocking for a long time. Since when Rap Snacks didn't have any artists on the back, you had a caricature, a potato on the back, MC Potato. A potato dressed up like a b-boy. So James graduated from Cheney University. So we work closely with Cheney these days as well. But James graduated from Cheney. And with the programs that we've been developing around music, James managed Meek. A lot of people don't know that. James managed Meek for 9 years. For 9 years, that James managed Meek. The Puma situation, Meek, that was James. That's James. That's what James do. He's a branding guy. He's a marketing guy. That's what he do. So James is like my brother and my mentor at the same time. So in this space, in this entrepreneurship space, in this commercial space, I'm not the best knower, and that's how I need it to be for me to learn, for me to expand and learn anything. You can't be the smartest guy in the room. And in this case, James is this is just how he thinks. He thinks in terms of marketing, branding. and scaling products. So I say all that to say that his background he has a background in the music industry also from managing me, and my background in the music industry. So the music program benefits, you know, from the entrepreneurship component as well as the music component, the music aspect of it, because like my publishing companies, we bring them in to talk to the youth, teach the youth how to get placement for their songs in video games and television, movies. Uh, so they benefit because what our thing was, we can't have black youth. Black youth can't always have to come in at the ground level. I mean, we have to skip some steps these days. We have to skip some steps. Black youth have to come in on the third or fourth floor. We got to start bringing each other in on the third or fourth floor. So we can really take advantage of what's there, because the first floor it's a struggle. It's a struggle. I mean, we can't be going from struggle to struggle to struggle. Life, it doesn't have to always be a struggle. It's enough of us in position right now to make it easier. To make the process easier. It's process is work. Yes, it's hard work. It takes dedication. It takes all that. But at the end of the day, we need to start setting up more lanes, for access and for cooperative economics, collective work, and responsibility around the community and our internal markets. So that's the Culture Studios, the music program. We have a distribution program where we onboard young people that want to learn how to distribute products. This program is run out of Jackson, Mississippi. We started in 2016. So you come on, it's called a jobber. You become a jobber, where you get trained under our distributor in that particular region, and they teach you how to sell, teach you how to build accounts. And what happens with this program is, it's just like if you wanted to start your own distribution company. You would go, you will learn how to sell, you will find it, you would go on a route with an established distributor. With our distributor, you would go on the routes, you would learn how to maneuver in the space. They would teach you everything, bring you up through the process. Then when you're ready to go on your own, you go and you build your own accounts. You can branch out to other areas, find stores, take the product, you build your accounts, you build 100 accounts. So you got 100 stores buying the product, 200 stores, 300, 500 stores buying the product, for as far as you can possibly go in an area. Those are your accounts. You own those accounts. You can either sell the routes, or you can keep them and expand them further. You can take on other products from other companies. It don't just have to be Rap Snacks. You can take on other products. You can say, okay, I have Rap Snacks on my truck, so now I'm going to add some other value to my product, to my van. I'm going to bring on some candy products. Let me go hit this candy company up. I'm distributed in the area, boom. And you spend beverages or whatever. So that's how the program works. Our distributor in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, went through the program. Now she is our only distributor in Baton Rouge. She has her own warehouse. She has her own warehouse ordering truckloads of Rap Snacks. I mean, 18 wheelers of product, pallets and pallets and pallets of products. She has her own warehouse, her own vans, her own crew, her own warehouse managers. She's doing her thing. A mother of four, single mother of four. Came through the program, just was on it. She wanted to do it, and she did. So that program is about us learning how to control the supply chain, and logistics of distribution in the communities. Because at the end of the day, it's so many opportunities for us, because our communities, like we say, underserved. It's underserved. So people stand back, they do scans of our community, they come in and they just exploit it at every level, manufacturing, distribution, and retail. So these are some of the programs that we've been developing. Then we have, as part of our financial initiative, we have a stock market investment platform called Stock Boss Up. It's an app. It's available at Google Play, Apple Store. And this app is the first free, non-subscription based investment platform for people who want to learn how to invest without losing any money. So the platform is like, if you can imagine, Instagram meets Robinhood or Instagram meets Acorn. It's a social media platform with an investment component, combined. So you can, just like on Instagram, you become a member, you set up your profile, you can share, you can comment, you can like people's posts. The same thing as an Instagram or Facebook. You can share articles on investing. And the beauty of the platform is it's a wisdom of the crowd kind of platform. The way we have the algorithms arranged is that the top performing portfolios trend to the top of your feed. So what you see is working. What you see at the top of your feed is what's actually working. You get to do searches in the platform for the top purchase stocks. What are the top purchase stocks? So it'll give you the top 6 to 10 stocks purchased on any given day within the platform. So you'll see what the top performers are doing and what's working for them. It follows the stock market in real time. You get $1 million worth of simulated money, and you can invest until you feel like you can take the trainer wheels off, then you can move on. So it's an ultimate guide to investing in the platform, so you can learn as you go all the terms. What is the price to earnings multiple? Or what is a split? All of these things. What is an option? What is
Peace of God. Peace. Real quick. We're moving to our 8 o'clock hour, and our show's usually from 7 to 8. But I wanted to ask my brothers, and I wanted to ask Knowledge Born, CEO of the station, if we could go over a little bit, because I know Knowledge had I know Farugh, I know you have a question for our guest. I know Knowledge has a question, and I know that we wanted to talk about the book that is coming out, Manufacturing of a Dumbed Down Rapper, as well as any new music that you got coming. So I just want to ask if y'all brothers want to go over a little bit and allow for wise to address those things.
How many times we get opportunities like this? No question for me, but a comment. And I am grateful for this opportunity, bro. Like, you just don't understand how your music and your example has impacted my life. It made me a responsible MC. You get the whole griot tradition. You honor that, and you upheld that. And so I'm extremely grateful for that, bro. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. I wanted to be really present in this moment. Really want to hear everything that you're saying. But what you talk about is internal reparations, and this is what I talk about all the time to people. Like, we spending 1.2 trillion that they can track, because that's not even counting what we spend in the black market. They don't even track that. So if we're tracking 1.2 trillion, we can fund anything that we want to do. Absolutely. We can fund anything we want to do. So I really appreciate your internal reparations piece. My platform now is the whole ownership is the new black. And so that's what I'm going to be pushing to anybody and everybody from this point forward. So again, thank you, brother, for everything you've done. Thank you for your example. And let's hear about the book. Thank you, Lord. Oh, definitely.
You definitely knocking my questions out. I had a list of questions and you just running straight through. The last questions you just ran into. I was asking about the social media or online presence, and you just running through that too.
That's peace. Yeah, but to conclude that last point, with the stock market app, a lot of the people, a lot of members, when we started that app, it crashed 3 times because of the amount of people that was trying to become members on the app. Wow. So we had to expand the bandwidth with three times. And now we're at the point where we're being asked, how can we guide them into actually investing? People now, they feel they're ready to take the training wheels off. They're like, what can we do? So we started a platform called Bricks. It'll be up in November. It's the Boss Up Boss Up Remote Investment Club system. It's called BRICS. And what it is it's investment clubs, like traditional investment clubs, where you can join a group of like-minded individuals with similar investment goals, and you can actually invest real money and build generational wealth over the long term. So that's how we're that's one of the very verticals in that stock space for us. But yeah, the book, man, the book is something I've been working on for, believe it or not, I've been sitting on this book since 2008.
Wow.
Since 2008, I've been sitting on this book. It was one of the things I kept wrestling with. I kept wrestling with it. That's why when you read it, you'll see that a lot of the subject, not the subject matter, but the examples I'm using are from 2008, 2009. But they're still relevant today. That's the beauty of hip hop. But 3/5 at MC, the manufacturing of a dumbed down rapper. The point of it is saying, what I'm saying is that the MC, the mainstream MC, is in a lopsided power relationship. He's in a corporate kangoo, so to speak. And what happens is the major corporations that control the platforms for the propagation of the art in the mainstream, they've truncated the narrative. They're controlling the narrative, and they're pushing a single narrative, a dangerous single narrative, a narrative that supports the traditional European beliefs concerning Africans or Black people in general. So I'm basically saying that, the problem with there's no problem with hip hop. It's a problem with the mainstream. It's never been a problem with hip hop. Hip hop has never stopped being what hip hop always has been. The only way you can possibly perceive hip hop to have changed is if your cues and views on what hip hop is or is not are coming from the mainstream.
Facts.
That's the only way.
Facts.
That's the absolute only way. So a lot of the conversations and debates we have about hip hop are based on the 10 rappers they have in a heavy rotation in the mainstream. So the dumbed down rapper effect is a manufactured effect. It's when an MC compromises. He takes the 3/5 compromise. And you say, okay, I'll truncate myself down. I'll detach myself from broader social issues. I'll detach myself from the collective history and experience of my people. I'll detach myself from the epistemology, the Black epistemology, from our interpretation of the world and our justified beliefs about it. I'll detach myself from those things to put myself or even me and my family in a better position economically. I'll accept, so basically cutting off your nose to spite your face. So that's basically in what I'm demonstrating in the book. What I hope is conveyed in the book is that the MC is not the only dumbed down caricature. It's only one. He's one. That's why the book opens up with a quote from Barack Obama saying that Barack Obama, or Oprah Winfrey, or Michael Jordan is not embraced by Americans if we focus on broader issues of social justice. That's how I open it up. So, because a lot of them, Barack, Oprah, Jordan, they all have accepted the 3/5 compromise. Mm-hmm. They've decided to forget about some things and accept some other things, for positions, for what they call hot positions of power, or places in high places in the Roman Empire or whatever, but that's where they at. So the rapper is just an example of a manufactured dumbed down entity. So we have manufactured dumbed down school teachers. We have manufactured, dumbed down professors, manufactured, dumbed down politicians, manufactured, dumbed down athletes, manufactured, dumbed down rappers. I mean, it doesn't manufacture, dumbed down filmmakers. It's it is not just a rap thing. However, in the book, I show some things that that a lot of people may not know. Some people may not be aware of. How in the United States, socially relevant or politically conscious hip hop is not welcome in the mainstream in the United States. They call the music, protest music, hip hop with a political bit. They call it hate speech. They call it un-American, and so it don't get played in other mainstream platforms, right? Okay, cool. However, what I demonstrate in the book is how the same conscious music, the same politically conscious hip hop is packaged by the United States, by the Secretary of State in their Rhythms Roads program, and shipped, it's deployed overseas to disrupt or cause disruption in governments overseas. So they send these rappers on tour, these conscious rappers. The United States government is paying to send to Syria, to Libya. Before Gaddafi was overthrown, they sent rappers there on tour to speak liberation to young people, to cause the young people to rise up against the governments. They did the same thing to Syria. They sent them to Egypt. They sent them to Yemen. And now look at all these places. All the places that they sent were political hotspots that they sent these conscious rappers to, calling it diplomacy programs.
Wow.
When really it's a deployment program. Yeah. You're deploying anti-government, anti-establishment musical propaganda. Basically, that's what conscious hip hop. That's what it do. You won't play it on the radio here.
Right.
Here is hate speech and un-American, right, because it has the power to topple oppressive governments.
Yeah.
The power of the music. So what you do is you only allow party, bullshit, sex, money, murder, money, hoes, and clothes to rock on American airways to the masses, but you take the conscious hip hop, package that as a weapon, and deploy it overseas. And that's the part that we don't seem to understand. The power structure knows the power of the music. They understand it clearly. Hillary Clinton, I'm quoting Hillary Clinton in the book. This is not, it's Hillary Clinton that I'm quoting. She was Secretary of State and running this program at the time. And it's the same USAID. USAID got caught raising rappers to try and overthrow Castro. They sent rappers in. They started with hip hop moves. They sent when the Serbian president fell, it was rappers. They threw a whole series of concerts that mobilized the youth against the incumbent president. And that same promoter from that group that helped organize that movement, that rap music, he was tapped by USAID to do the same thing in Cuba. They sent him to Cuba, and he got with some artists there. And, they were financing these conscious artists. They have $1.5 million a year for this particular program to push, content that they won't let move here. So that's that's a very important chapter in the book. Whereas they're playing chess out here. They're playing chess at a level that we wouldn't even imagine. So while we're sitting here saying conscious rap don't sell, that's why it don't play on the radio. It's none of that. It's none of that. The top selling albums in the history of hip hop have been conscious records. Mm-hmm. Lauryn Hill sold 19 million records. Fuji sold 17 million records. Yeah. It's a lot of records. Every record Public Enemy ever put out went platinum. So at the end of the day, the book, is basically exposing some of these things to demonstrate how the manufactured dumbed down rapper is a manufactured product. He's a product. You know, he's accepted that position. You know, he accepted dumbing himself down for rewards and prizes. You know, and that's where we at with hip hop in the mainstream, pretty much. You know, because right now, even in this space, social justice, hip hop is not even really saying anything. You know, it's like this is the first time. This is the first. This is like a vacuum in history. You know, they're not saying anything. You know, and it's unfortunate, but it's a process that got us here. You know, a process that got us here. You know, you look at how the industry is truncated. I'll break that down in the book. How 5 corporations and 5 individuals control the media that 300 million people in this country rely on for their sources of information, news, entertainment. It's all coming from 5 companies. You know, when in 1985, it was 200 broadcasting companies. That truncated to 50. Now that 50 is 5. Enough men to fit in a golf cart, controlling all the media that we see here. I mean, so if they choose to omit pertinent information from the platform, your picture of reality is fragmented, is woefully fragmented if you're not, you know, seeking out other sources for information, you know, and that's what's happening. That's what's happening. The majority of Americans have a fragmented picture of reality. That's why we stay concentrated on symptoms of problems and never understand the causative factors, because there's too many fragments in the dissemination of information. Information is disseminated in fragments. So we can't really even create a clear picture. That's why, you know, I fell back a lot from really having discussions with people around a lot of these topics, like debating heads and getting in, you know, because people wanted to debate. I'm like, I'm not debating with you, because at the end of the day, the majority of people haven't done the due diligence to even know what's really happening. So it's almost a waste of energy in a lot of instances to be in long drawn out debates and conversations with people who haven't studied what you studied, learned what you learned, see what you see. You know, so I do it in other ways now. I'll just write the book. I'll write the book. You know, you read the book. You don't read the book, hey, you know, you won't see me on CNN. That's a fact. You know, you won't see me on CNN, but yeah. You know, so the book goes through some, what's that? You say something?
No, you good.
No. Go ahead. You good. I'm just listening.
So the book, 3/5 of MC, the manufacturer down rapper. I started with the home of hip hop, right? Started with the home of hip hop. So it's 3/5 the neighborhood, the manufacturing of the dilapidated ghetto. So what I do first is I explain how the home of hip hop was created, basically how ghettos were created. So I'm going through how ghettos were created by outside forces, not by hip hop, not by rappers, not by the black community, not by our mothers and fathers. You know, so we deal with that first. We deal with how ghettos were created, and once the environment is set, then we move to manufacturing a trap. You know, how the drug culture was created. You know, because once you create this environment of deprivation by redlining the community, you know, extracting all the resources out of the community, shifting the municipal budgets from the inner cities to the suburbs, work, factories, everything leaving, all business divesting in predominantly black communities. You've created a state of deprivation now that sets the stage for drug trafficking. And not only do you set the stage for drug trafficking, you bring the drugs. You know, so I go into that whole thing. You know, the manufacturing of a trap. You know, 3/5 the kingpin, manufacturing of a trap, and we break down the whole drug game. who's really behind the drug game, where the drugs came from, how they got in the community. We break all of that down, and then after that, we go into the prison industrial complex, and how this fall war on drugs created this prison industrial machine that that further exploits the reality. So I'm breaking all of these things down, but at the same time, I'm demonstrating that when the rapper is talking about the ghetto that he reps his hood. He's not talking about the causative factors, the things that created this ghetto, that made this ghetto the hard life that it actually is. All the that he's talking about, how tough it is. You survive the hood. My hood is this. My hood, niggas jump out on you with the blam. It's like, what made your hood like that? Context is important. What made your hood like that? But if you're not, you're dumbed down. You're 3/5 of an MC because you're not really giving people the full picture of what happened. What made you this drug dealer? What made you want to sell drugs? What made you have to sell drugs? What turned you into this gangbanger? What turned you into this gangbanger? How did you get to that point? How did the community get where it is now? So that's where I go with the hood, how the hood was manifested, how the drug game came into play, the prison culture, where that came from. Has talk about how they'll do a bid. My man locked down, we got 5 years. He do, I do this time standing on my head, all of that. So I break down the prison game, because these are the things that rappers should be doing. Rappers should be explaining these things. We should be talking about how the prison industrial complex came to be, and what it represents. So you're a dumbed down rapper if you're glorifying prison life without addressing the causative factors. That makes you a dumbed down individual. And that's how I pieced the book up to the point of the 5th chapter, which is 3/5 an MC, the manufacturing of a dumbed down rapper. And I'll go into that. I talk about how record companies created this reality. Like with Young Buck. How Young Buck had the song on his album in 2007. Young Buck released Buck the World, the album Buck the World. And he went on Hot 97 with Angie Martinez, and they were talking about it. And she said, "Yo, what happened to the song you had, Fuck the Police, that you had on the record?" She was like, "Oh," he was like, "Oh, Interscope wouldn't let me put that record on the album." They said they didn't want to, they couldn't let him put it. He said they called it the lyrics committee at Interscope. The lyrics committee censored him. Interscope's internal lyrics committee said, "No, you can't put this record on the album because it might endanger the lives of law enforcement." But they allowed him to put the other 17 songs on the album that endanger the lives of young black men, women, and children who live in those communities every day. Right? So they made a decision. They took a stance. So why did they see it okay for him to put out this? Why was it okay for him to put out the songs that could jeopardize the lives or put the lives of black people in danger and our communities in danger, but not the songs that will put law enforcement in danger? So I'm going through this just to demonstrate how the rapper is not controlling what goes on his records. He's not controlling what plays at radio. He's not controlling what streams. He's not in control of that. He has no say over that. They do. So all of these decisions are deliberate. It's by design. So once I break that down, I go into after the Young Buck, I go into Lloyd Banks when he said, "I'm not getting political." He said, for some reason, when black people get political, we get assassinated. So I'm breaking that down. I'm going into that mentality and why he perceived that way. He's right in his thinking. He's 100% right and exact for thinking the way that he thinks. So he imposes this dumbed down reality on himself. He dumbs himself down out of fear of committing career suicide or being assassinated. So a lot of nuances like that, I go back and I take some examples like Billie Holiday. When Billie Holiday did Strange Fruit, Columbia Records said no. Said, "We're not putting it out," because they were more concerned about what the people who were actually committing the lynchings would think. The record company was rocking with the people who were committing the lynchings. So they told Billie Holiday, "No, we're not putting that out. You can mess with the money." we're not putting it out. So Billie Holiday couldn't put that record out without the fight that she wouldn't put it out through an independent, because Columbia didn't want to put the record out. They picked it up after it already started blowing. That was one of the top records, right? But they didn't want to put that record out. Billie Holiday was Billie Holiday. And she couldn't choose what record. She couldn't even say, "Oh, I'm putting this out." She couldn't determine for herself what went on that record, what went on the album. So that was problematic, and that's how the record companies set up. They make these decisions intentionally. It's very deliberate what they do at the record companies. So I'll break that down first in 3/5 and then see that chapter. But that chapter goes deep. That chapter goes into the media real heavy, and how media works, how it functions. It goes into propaganda, the use of propaganda, how this Rhythm Roads program that they've been using with conscious rappers and sending them overseas. And I pair that with how World War II, they did the same thing with Dizzy Gillespie and them. You know what I mean? Same thing, so they've been using music as propaganda for a long time, to demoralize groups of people, to make one group of people think another group of people is less than human, so I break all that down, but it's all rooted in how the rapper accepts this reality. He accepts this reality to sustain his life, basically. That's the swap off. That's the swap off. You're like, wait a minute. Okay, I'll keep it based on party and bullshit. I'll stay in the party and bullshit space to make a living. For an opportunity to escape poverty, maybe, to escape this ghetto that they created in chapter 1, So, yeah, I mean, I hope my hope is that people get it, that people get where I'm going with it, But yeah, it's an interesting read. I mean, it's difficult for me to really gauge it in terms of quality, because I wrote it. So it's kind of surreal reading your own book, the first book I've ever written, so it's an interesting thing.
I know that Knowledge Born had a question for you. I don't know if he's still out there, but because I know he's got Sadat X on, I think right after us, or he may be on now. There's a lot going on. They got the guy Sadat, so there's a lot going on Deep Knowledge Radio.
No doubt.
But you got any new music coming?
Yeah, I do. I'm at the 6th period in the 7 period set that I started in 2008. First period was The Talented Timothy Taylor. Second period was The Unconquerable Jesus Jones. Third period, El Negro Guerrero. Fourth period was Stevie Bonneville Wallace. And fifth period was Ponzi. And this one is 6th period. I'm at 6th period now. I'll get that one out before the end of the year. It's called Poem Chomsky. Wise Intelligent is Poem Chomsky. As opposed to Noam Chomsky. I'm Poem Chomsky. So yeah, so I'm pretty much finished that right now. DJ Pocket is mixing it. I'm up while I'm up here in Atlanta right now. I'm slide through there and get it tightened all the way up, so we can get it out before the end of this year, hopefully.
I got one more question to ask you. Many years back on the Brand Nubian album Foundation, they sampled you, and it's probably one of the most noted samples in my memory. And you were talking about, a lot of rappers talk about the ghetto. Yo, I'm ghetto. I'm from the hood. I'm this, I'm that. You know what I mean? Like you said, and your response was, I grew up in the ghetto, but the ghetto didn't grow up in me. You know what I mean? That we've been put here for a cause. And it always stuck with me. You know what I'm saying? It always stuck with me, Lord, for many, many years. And I have to ask you this question. what is the responsibility? Because we talk about it all the time. My brother Khamuo, brother Farugh, they're artists. They have a group called Urban Shaman. And we always talk about the responsibility of artists. What is the responsibility of artists when you know that you've been put here for a cause? To you, what is the responsibility of what young brothers and sisters who have the creative genius of our African ancestors, what is their responsibility for themselves, their families, their community? What is that? What does that look like, and how can we define that?
Right, and that's the thing, and that's where we run on a real slippery slide, because it's difficult for us to define someone else's reality, so and infringe on someone else's autonomy to choose, or their right to self-determination, right? So for me, once you know, so once you know and you choose to not know, tactical stupidity, when you take the position of tactical stupidity, then that's a dumbed down rapper. It's a self-imposed ignorance. It's willful ignorance for rewards and prizes. Some people take that route. For me, it was about understanding that we're in a fight. We're in an all-out. We've been in an all-out fight. I mean, when we look at the levels, I mean, we're being oppressed at every level of human existence in this country and world. I mean, every sphere of human existence, we're being suppressed, repressed, and oppressed. So that being the case, I have no choice but to actively move all my manpower, wealth, and resources in the direction of ending this oppression, of liberating the group, so I have no choice. I mean, for me, and music for me is music for me is one weapon in the sheath. It's just another weapon in the sheath for me, because I look at all of it, entrepreneurship, music, all of it is all instruments of war for me, and that's the way it should be used. I think that, especially, when you're talking about oppressive systems, oppressive systems should be dismantled. So these are the tools that I have at my disposal, and I'm going to use them to the best of my ability and craftsmanship to use these tools to dismantle oppression. That's just what it is, and so as far as responsibility go, that's my responsibility. It's not just my responsibility, it's an obligation for me, it's an obligation. I mean, every man is going to choose for himself. He's going to interpret the reality for himself, because let's face it, we're not functioning within a collective social theory. We like loose balls. We're all over the place. Everybody have their own view. We living in this strange world right now, where everybody got their own truth. I'm like, hey, everybody got truth. It's like that's his truth. That's her truth. Just tell your truth. Speak your truth. I'm like, your truth? I'm like, no. We can't start branding opinions as truth. You know what I mean? But we're not functioning within a collective social theory, and that's a big part of the problem. That's why it's hard for us to coalesce the dollars. That's why it's difficult for us to coalesce the cultural resources. That's why it's difficult for us to coalesce the academic genius, the athletic prowess, all of that, because we're not functioning within a collective social theory, which is key. And for me, getting to that place will start with some type of control of the school systems where our children are predominant. That's my belief. That we in these school systems we embrace the culture and put some culture in everything we do. Put some culture on the menu. You put some culture on the plate. Having dinner, we're gonna put some culture on the plate. You know, this is what it is. I mean, that's how I see it. You know, because all right, collective social theories, people don't really understand what it is. A collective social theory is the framework of empirical data that you use to interpret social phenomena, right? It's like a framework of data, of empirical data that you're using to interpret reality. So if the reality is economics, you're going to interpret it from this framework. If it's politics, you're going to interpret it from this framework, this social theory, right? So now let's apply it to other groups. You look at the Jewish community. The Jewish community, they're interpreting economics from the same social theory, from the same set of empirical data, the same framework. Politics, the same way. Take the Amish community. It's the same thing. You know, they're interpreting, everybody in the group is interpreting economics and politics and all these things from the same framework of empirical data. You know, and this is why, you know, when you say something, the Jewish community be like, oh, nope, we're not having that. You know, we're not, that's not even gonna happen. We're not gonna have this conversation with you about Jews, the Holocaust, none of that. We're not having that conversation, which is not gonna happen. Boom, and they should, you know. And all communities function in that space, you know. But we're functioning within someone else's social theory, you know. So that's what falsifies your consciousness, when you're functioning from the disadvantage point of someone else's collective social theory. So we have a European psychology. Because we're interpreting the world from a European perspective. You know, we have their value system. We see the world the way they see it. We look at money the way they see it. When we look at money, we think, you know, we'd be like, oh, money, gotta get the money, get the money, get the bag, get the bag, get the bag, get the check, chase the check, get the bag, get the bag, get the Bentley, get the Rolls Royce, get the consume, get, you know, look fly. You know, we do some of the, you know, I mean, our conception of reality is wholly European. So this falsification of consciousness is a conflict of interest. So when we do things, those things are usually benefit the group to whom the social theory belongs more than it does us all the time. You know, so Europeans benefit from our behavior more than we do. You know, and that's why, you know, because that's the collective social theory that we're functioning under. You know, so we have to move out of that space, develop our own collective social theory. Let me give you an example of what a collective social theory could do for us at the economic. Let's take public schools. Let's take Trenton, New Jersey. Trenton, New Jersey has about 18,000 public school students in its district. They all wear uniforms, right? The uniforms are ordered from some benign, generic uniform company that makes uniforms. You know, khaki pants, blue shirt, burgundy pants, burgundy shirt, khaki pants. You know, same thing for school. Controlling the school, just the school. If we said, okay, we're going to add some Africa into the uniforms, we're gonna do our own uniforms. We're gonna change the look of the uniform. We're gonna throw some mud cloth, some koi cloth, some African textiles in the uniform, and we're gonna go and get these sisters over here who be sewing all these clothes to do it. And we're going to set up an exchange between West Africa and the Black community here for those textiles. So now we're creating economy, right? We're creating a whole textiles industry overnight. We're creating a textiles industry just based on the uniforms that our students are going to wear anyway. They're wearing uniforms already. You know, we're just going to change a couple things in the uniform. You know, we're going to change a couple things in the uniform to add African. We're going to add some culture. You know, and now we're creating jobs. Because now we're buying sewing machines, we're renting out spaces, we're taking over some of this retail space that's closing since the pandemic, outfitting it with sewing machines, teaching sisters how to sew, young sisters, young brothers how to sew, and we're making the clothing ourselves. And now we become our own vendors. The community is vending with the school. through an entrepreneurship program based on textiles. We become the school vendor. We're controlling the school's clothing, right? And then we do the same thing across the school's needs. The same things across the school's needs. Literature. Why is there no mandatory Dr. Amos Wilson reading in Black schools, right? You're in the school library, the textbooks and everything. This is where our academic genius can be put to use, right? We need textbooks. We need history books. We need all that. You know, we have Black authors out here. We have Black historians out here. We have Black scientists out here. We have Black psychologists out here. We have Black health professionals out here who can help develop these texts for our students. And then, and on top of that, the plus is that the books would all be from our vantage point. So they would be melanin friendly. You know what I mean? So what we get in the health books would represent what we need to take care of ourselves as melanated people. You know, where we won't be, again, with the European psychology, thinking we could drink milk all day, you know? So
Yes.
that's what we need to be doing. Our children are in these schools 5 days a week for 8 hours. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's 40 hours. Then and sometimes the after school program. So that's extra curricular activity hours, you know, so that's where we need to really focus, I think, you know, zeroing in on our youth and taking control of the different components of those school systems, you know, and developing the social theory slowly. That's how you develop collective social theory, you know, slowly. Because you look at the United States, you know, what's keeping the United States together? It's economy. You know, you have all these diverse people in this country, you know, who otherwise would kill each other. They would otherwise kill each other. The economy collapse is going to be a purge. It's going to be a purge just by default. It's going to be a purge because you have enough people in this country who feel that way, you know. But what's holding it together now is the veneer of an economy that they can benefit from, that people can benefit from, you know. So when we take that idea and we move it to the localized level, you know, and you look at the public school systems, you know, when we create economy for the community, you know, Trenton, 7.5 square miles, 18,000 youth, you create textiles industry, you create literature industry, you know, you're going to need people to help manufacture those books. You're going to need people to help ship those books, to distribute those books, those clothes and everything else. So you got a 7.5 square mile community that you're creating jobs for just on the strength of controlling what happens at the public school level, you know. And when people see that they can benefit, that now the institutions are becoming life-sustaining institutions, now the institution is starting to sustain the lives of the people that depend on it. The community is now benefiting from the school, from the institution, not just the student. You know, the whole entire community are now stakeholders in the public school system on several different levels. You know, so it coalesces people. You know, the economies coalesce people. It makes people, you know, trading and bartering and commerce. You know, I think we kind of underestimate its ability to unify people. You know, because once people's lives are sustained, you know, they're going to function in relative harmony.
As we move towards close, where can people purchase the book, your music, and where can we get in contact with you? Because I know because of this tonight, we definitely, I know I would love to have you come back to African Independence Day. Summer of 2021, hopefully with all this whole COVID pandemic thing, maybe we can go back to having some festive celebrations. But where could people get in touch with you to get your music, to get a new book, 3/5 MC? You know, where can they get in contact with you guys?
the book will be available at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, at booksellers, that you normally purchase books from. And the music, the same. You'll be able to get that on all platforms. And as far as I go, you'll be able to in a minute. My website is being rebuilt right now, so I'm relaunching that shortly. Wiseintelligent.com. But in the meantime, I'm on Instagram at @wiseintelligent, Twitter at @wiseintelligent, Facebook wiseintelligent. Yeah, so you can reach out to me anytime, any place. Shoot me a DM, an inbox. I respond all the time. I'll respond to you.
Brothers, anything you want for Wise?
I am personally just like, definitely, I'm full on knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Definitely embody that name, Wise Intelligence. So, you covered the gamut. It's definitely, it's worth watching again, for myself and just, just reviewing everything that you spoke on. I appreciate, you taking the time and, just breaking everything down. We appreciate you, and I think personally.
Appreciate you, brother.
Let me ask for permission. I got a page full of notes, bro. And I teach I'm doing homeschooling now, of course. So with your permission, can I use some of the wisdom that you dropped on us today to my youths?
It's yours now. It's yours. It's your platform. It's your platform. If I was on Hot 97, they'd own everything I said. They would own everything I said. Y'all own it now.
Yeah, I still want to ask, I still want to get that permission. You know what I mean?
No doubt, we function on a different frequency than they do.
Still want to honor that. And again, brother, I really thank you for spending the time with us, for sharing with us. I can't wait to get the book. That's gonna be my next thing. Because the breakdown of hip hop, breakdown of why we are in the predicament that we're in, that it was a plan, it was strategized. And so to be able to break it down the way you broke it down, it'll become common knowledge in our village, in our community, and that's what we need. We need that to be common knowledge that this was a strategy to devalue us. Absolutely. And it's working. So it's not that this black inferiority is not something that's us, that it was manufactured and that we broke it down to this point. So I thank you for that, bro. And again, thanks for everything. I appreciate you, Lord.
Thank you, Lord. Appreciation is mutual.
And like I said, we'll talk offline about bringing you in for African Independence Day. I would love to have you come back. I mean, it's been a long time since we performed the African Independence Day, man. And, bring you back up here to Philly, because I know you running between the ATL and down there in, Miami. It's a lot. But like I said, we'll definitely work on that, and we'll all dialogue offline about bringing you to Philly next August for the 17th African Independence Day Maya celebration.
For sure.
Oh, there's Brother Nas going real quick. Nas, you wanted to add something real quick? Because we getting ready to wrap this.
I love the broadcast. You understand what I'm saying? Shout out to you. Peace to God, Wise Intelligent, man.
Peace, Lord.
You are no stranger to this platform. You was on this platform like 3 years ago. You and Sudan. You know what I'm saying? It was over here like right after, one of the greatest hip hop albums ever dropped, Game of Death. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, I gotta get you and Ginsu together so we can get a break on the album. You understand? So, one of your most iconic songs, in my opinion, was Shakila. I wanted to know, if you could take a few minutes to give us that birth story on how that concept came about, and how you repeated it over, the years.
Yes, sir. What was the question?
So the question was about that song Shakila. Like you you rocked the joint, over the couple years. So like, what was the moment, like what was the birth record for that, the inspiration, the motivation, and how did you continue to keep it going, across the album?
Believe it or not, Lord, that Shakila record was the first Shakila, the song, that was the first rhyme I ever wrote in song format.
Wow.
When I wrote it when I was 15,
wow,
the first Shakila, and it ended up on the first Poor Righteous Teachers album. So when I wrote it, it was just I thought nothing of it. But then we were listening to vinyl and that Zap record. I was like, yo, boom, I'm gonna revisit this joint. So we did it. I laid it. We looped the record. We did it, and that was that. So then I just kept it going. And then as I started to grow, get older, and have relationships with sisters, then those sisters started. I started drawing certain characteristics and information from sisters that I was in actual relationships with, and that's how the songs kind of came together after the first one. So every one of those songs have elements of a very real and particular sister or two. So no doubt. Sort of like how Wonder Woman was created. Wonder Woman, that story, the backstory on Wonder Woman is, Wonder Woman is the result of the writer.
Yeah.
The writer of Wonder Woman was in a polygynous relationship with two women. He was married to one of them, but because they couldn't legally marry all three of them, so they all were together, living together, same house. They were sister wives and the writer. So when he wrote Wonder Woman, he kind of amalgamated the characteristics, the strengths, the weaknesses of both the women into one woman, and that's how he came up with the Wonder Woman concept.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So Shakira was simple.
I'm familiar with that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's been a pleasure having you guys. We got to do this again. Because I know I know we like myself, knowledge, Farugh, brother Khamuo, definitely talk about some of those classics, man, with PRT. You know what I'm saying? With with the gods and talk about some of your solo classics, man. Because one of the greatest songs I think that you did, and I think it's slept on, is Globe Holders, man. Unreal, man. Globe Holders, Illuminati. I got all your albums, man. It's like, slept on, man. Slept on. You are truly one of the elite MCs to ever do it, and I say bar none.
Facts.
No question, and the personages you provide, not just the lyrics, the personages you provide, and the cultural vanguard message that you have that's unwavering. Most cats fizzle out. You know what I'm saying? They fizzle out, or they get checked out. You understand what I'm saying? Like somebody pass them a little bread, they check out, or they return to the essence. To stand firm as long as you have, unwavering and elevating over, the years. Is truly a testament to your foundation and ancestral lineage.
Appreciate you, Lord. Definitely appreciate it.
Over the years, you know what I'm saying? So I love it all. You know what I'm saying? I love it all.
So this has been a treat, and hopefully, like I said, we'll have you back again, Almighty. So we're going to close out on this.
Yes, sir.
Thank you once again. Thanks for everybody tuning into this very special edition of the Sonic Ngoma. You can get in contact with the African Independence Day Organizing Committee at africanindependenceday.org. You can also contact us on Gmail at africanindependenceday@gmail.com. At the bottom of your screen, you can read the ticker. You can also contact us on Facebook at 16th Annual African Independence Day Maya Celebration 2020, and on Instagram at African_Independence Day, and give us a call on our business line at 267-521-1544, as well as please visit our official webpage, africanindependenceday.org, and please go to support our virtual African marketplace with our vendors. We are really asking for you all to support vendors in this time of COVID, where events are not happening. Please support them. This is how they make a living. So please support our virtual marketplace, which you will find at africanindependenceday.org, the official web page of the African Independence Day Maya celebration. So with that, I'd like to say peace, Hotep, Abibifahoodie, Black Power. You think we could take them out with a video, brother Khamuo? Okay, so we're gonna take you all out. I love y'all, brothers, and you know, we'll see y'all next week, next Tuesday, 7 p.m. for another edition of Sonic Ngoma. Peace, Black Power.
Peace and Black Power.